What up, squad? It's your friendly neighborhood Robo Riv, and I'm back at it with another drawing. This time I'm working on the cover for issue number 2 of Tyrannosaurus Hex. If you're interested, this is my comic book series, Tyrannosaurus Hex. If you're interested in it, all you have to do is go to my website, blackriverstudiollc.com, and you can pre-order this very issue and get caught up with issue number 1. That's on sale right now. I'm very happy to report that as far as the physical on-hand copies of the book that I have, I'm getting close to selling about 25 of those. So almost hit the 25 books sold mark for this reissue. I'm pretty happy about that. Also, if you'd like to support this series, which I'm highly considering getting back into, this cover art was actually the thing that really made me say, you know what, I'd like to continue this series. And I think the reason why is it had been so long since I had drawn these characters. The interior artwork for Tyrannosaurus Hex is 8 years old for issues 1, 2, and 3. And when I considered reissuing this and doing new covers, it didn't initially come to me that I might be also getting back into the series and finishing this series. But this cover, I had such a blast doing it, drawing these old characters again and improving on them, I think, in small ways. Some small ways, some big ways, drawing the characters again. I really thought, you know what, I could have a lot of fun getting back into this. But we live in a product and demand or supply and demand type world. So to make this worthwhile for me to do, I need your help, and I need it in a big way, in a big bad way, because the deadline is coming up next month for my Kickstarter. My Kickstarter ends on November 22nd, I believe. Check the Kickstarter. I might have that wrong. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants right now. But I believe it's November 22nd. The Kickstarter will be closing, and that Kickstarter is called T-Hex Returns. I'll have a link for that Kickstarter in the description of this very video. If you'd like to help contribute to this series being complete. Tyrannosaurus Hex is a 6-issue mini-series, or a 6-issue volume of this series, and I always had it in mind, if I could complete this first volume, then I would also do several other stories I have planned in this world of Tyrannosaurus Hex. And one of the big things I'd like to do with the characters is have them progress, have them evolve and grow older, and you could kind of see, you know, the main characters, Malik and Makai and Micah, as kids now, and eventually see them kind of get older and progress in their skill and their conflicts. This character that I'm penciling, her name is Sister Anansi. She's one of the villains. This is an all villains cover. It's got Sister Anansi, and in her spider webs that she can just kind of summon through her shadow work, or her shadow spells. She can use her webs to trap people and snare them, but she can also use them to see things that are going on that through the eyes of her shadow clones or replicates or whatever you like to call them. She essentially can take a bunch of little spiders and make them morph into anything. There's a cool scene in this issue where she's using a carrier raven, and it comes to Mount Deathfire, which is their Rex Ruin, the guy in the back with the big scythe. That's his big hideout, and the carrier raven comes through, and Sister Anansi pets it, and it turns from a raven into a bunch of little spiders. So that's kind of her skill set. She's the right-hand man to Rex Ruin, his most trusted sorceress, and below in the webs, you've got two other people that are part of their squad called the Reapers. You got Wart, who's the big pig guy, and then you have Scab, who's like this, he's this cursed bounty hunter that was given abilities from Rex Ruin. And he has this really, he's called Scab because he's got like scabs all over his body. He's kind of wrapped up like a mummy, and he has this big extendo fist that's covered in scabs. It's pretty fun to draw as well. So I am looking very much forward to, hopefully, like if this Kickstarter gets funded, I'm looking forward to moving along and doing issue 4, 5, and 6. I have the script for 4 that I've written a while back, and I've got outlines for 5 and 6. So I'm ready to go if you guys are ready to go on this adventure with me. But I just need your support to let me know that's what you want, because as I'm finding out, doing this full time at the moment, I always say full time at the moment because I feel like since I have been working on my company and I've been doing more shows and vending spots, I just feel very grateful and lucky to be able to make anything off of doing this, because no one, this is not something that's promised to you, people enjoying your work. So I'm very thankful for the people that do support me and support the work that I do. But the reality of the issue is, one can't live on hopes and dreams alone. So I'm looking into getting some part-time work right now, just to kind of keep me afloat. But even with that, the reality of it is I know I have a lot of work ahead of me. If this does get kickstarted, I'll be juggling 2 projects at once. I've got my graphic novel I'm working on now, and then I would have this. So it's both like, I don't want to say it's a take it or leave it thing, because I do want to return back to this world, but the quickness that I return back to it definitely depends on things falling into place, and the major thing falling into place is getting our Kickstarter fully funded. But now that I've gotten all that out of the way, I just want to tell you a little bit more about the process of doing this cover. Earlier on in the video, you could see I just used the same template that I used doing the first cover. And this, I had a lot more fun doing this. Like I said, this was the drawing that really made me consider, man, I'd like to get back and do some more original artwork for this series, because unlike the first cover that was based off of previous artwork, this is just all brand new stuff. And I felt like I got to kind of improve I like the initial cover for issue number 2. It had the same 3 characters on it. It was just more of a scene from the book, and this was a little bit more abstract, just showing the characters, looking really menacing, I hope. And that back towards the audience version of Rex Ruin, I always wanted to draw that. I always had that in mind for a cover or poster, but during the initial run of Tyrannosaurus Hex back in 2015, I hadn't gotten around to it. So finally getting to draw it and do it pretty well here, I had a fun time with it. Also the best that Sister Nancy's ever looked. She's always kind of a difficult character for me when I created her. A more unusual look to her, but I feel like I really nailed her face in this drawing, and I always have a fun time drawing Scab. That's one of the things that's important to me whenever I'm coming up with a character that I know I'm gonna have to draw over and over again, is making sure it's something that kind of flows naturally with my style. And that was a question I was recently asked at a convention. Someone had asked me, like, how do you keep things looking consistent? And I basically told the young artists, I don't. You're always kind of changing things and evolving the art, even if it's in small ways, or getting better at drawing the character, even if it's at to a small degree. And it never quite looks, at least I don't think my characters look absolutely on the nose every panel. But creating a character that feels natural and that you're not struggling too much with in certain respects, it definitely makes things easier, keeping it consistent. Now with Rex Ruin, the big guy in the back with the hood, that design goes way, way, way back for me. Back when I was probably like 13 or 14, I drew my very first comic book, and the bad guy in that kind of looked like Rex Ruin. So a big Grim Reaper type fella. His that grill he's got, like the 3 teeth that you can see right there, and the glowing red eye. That's actually because he has like this big metal mask on underneath, a la Dr. Doom. You don't really see it you don't see it at all in any of the issues that I've produced, but the idea is later in the last issue, you get to see a bit more of the metal mask underneath. And that's because his whole body was transformed when he had possessed this dark obelisk, and it enhanced his abilities and gave him a connection to the dead, which he uses to create zombie dinosaurs and zombie people. So that's his big thing that he does. Within the story of Tyrannosaurus Hex, Rex Ruin was a previous Asilo Sangoma. He was a lizard shaman, and he was dabbling into some dark magic that the other Sangoma were, turned a questionable eye towards. So they all ganged up, told him not to do it, told him to stop. He didn't listen, and then he got banished to this realm called the Endless Sands. But he fought his way out of the Endless Sands, and 3 years later is where the story of Tyrannosaurus Hex picks up. Ruin is back. He's in this big castle called Mount Deathfire that's on this built into this volcano. It's very dramatic. And that's why the story is called The Rise of Ruin. And he is going to be the ongoing threat in the story of Tyrannosaurus Hex. So again, just taking a old character way back when I was a kid. I liked this drawing that I came up with, this guy, and I just enhanced it throughout the years, and it became one of those, like, I feel like every artist has like a little doodle that they do, that they scribble, and they're always messing with it. So Rex Ruin was kind of that for me. But getting back to the colors on this, just my usual process. I added a glare into the 2 screens that Wart and Scab are in, because I kind of wanted it to look like, it's like a transparent, semi kind of transparent thing. That's why I got her hip showing there, but wherever she's peeking at, I had to make it more solid, make it more opaque. But hopefully that idea came through in this drawing. It does to me. Sometimes what's so clear to you doesn't always transfer automatically, or translate rather automatically to the audience. But I think if it doesn't translate automatically in the context of the book, when you read the book, you're like, oh, okay, she's got this kind of spell, this enchantment where she can use these webs to see what's going on with her little spider spies. Now, I'm considering going maybe a little off script from what I wrote 8 years ago. According to my notes, you're gonna see more about Sister Anansi and like her background and maybe her connections with the Asilo Ginkgo village. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep that in there or not, but that's kind of one of the fun things about coming back to this storyline. I can cherry pick. Now that I've got a little bit more experience, I can cherry pick how I'd like to resume this series, because I'm not gonna lie to y'all, when I initially wrote this series and started drawing it, it was a bit of a pressure cooker. And the reason why I kind of felt pressured, because at the time I was doing some work with Omniclips Comics, and our main title, New Breed, had like the creative team. We just kind of all went our separate ways, which there's no animosity towards them at all. I understand, this is more or less my dream of what I wanted. And when it came down to Tyrannosaurus Hex, I kind of felt like I needed to get a book out there, get something out there. So I took a lot of ideas I had from my high school days and mixed it in with some new ideas and just things I thought visually would look cool and tell a cool visual story. And also my love of Dragon Ball Z, I think, kind of snuck in there too. I wanted it to be a colorful, kind of all ages thing, like Dragon Ball was. And mixed it all in, stirred it in a pot, and came up with Tyrannosaurus Hex. And I probably put the first book out there way quicker than I should have. I was just doing it like month to month, working on these books. And at the time, I also had 2 jobs. I had two part-time jobs I was working. So it was a lot. I was juggling a lot at the time. And then I ended up moving back to my hometown. So there's I feel like I have a good excuse for kind of abandoning the series when I did, but I always felt uncomfortable about that and wanted to come back to it, and felt that it was deserved to some of the people that have expressed to me that they liked where I was going with it to continue. But I also have a lot of other ideas, a lot of other stories in mind, and as much as I would just love to just work on this all day, you guys, you gotta check out the Kickstarter. Even if it's 50 cents, throw it my way. It all adds up. It all will go towards giving you a really cool independent comic book where it comes from the heart. This is my blood, sweat, and tears. This is all of my free time where I would love to be playing video games or, watching the latest series, or, this is that time will go devoted towards creating an epic fantasy adventure in Tyrannosaurus Hex. So if you guys like what you've seen, hit that subscribe button. Make sure your bell notifications are on. Check me out on all of my socials for all the other stuff, all the fan art. Check me out on Instagram, Facebook, Threads. Love you. Peace.